All right, folks, it's time for Shiny Side Out with David Dunger and Mecky. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. Take it away, guys.
Thanks so much, Hawk. Thanks for that introduction. You know, I still get it's an absolute treat to hear that song. I just love it, our intro. Well done, Hawk. I still can't find it. One day I'd love to get my hands on that thing. Whoa, what a week. Okay, so welcome to Shiny Side Out with Dave and an absent Mecky. We are coming to you live from the Sydney studios as part of one piece of the puzzle on Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com. So you can talk to us in the chat room while we're on air, while we are live. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook to get updates between shows. I'm tongue-tied today. And check it out, shinysideout.net, for our show archive, show notes, and links we paste into the chat during the show. That way you don't miss out. Get one of these apps for your smart device. Revolution Radio app. Well done, Hawk. That's awesome. TalkStream Live app. TuneIn.com app. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just move on. RadioTuna.com. If you visit there, it's pretty cool. But you know what? You can do all those things, but we'd really want you to jump in the chat room. Jump in the chat room, say hello. You can chat to us while we're on air. How cool is that? When can you do that? You can't really do that anywhere else. This is awesome. Great technology. So all you need to do that is go to freedomslips.com and jump into the chat room. You can make yourself up a name. You don't have to be you. You could be whatever you want. Any name you like. In fact, there's even a randomized one. I think at the moment it's monkey _ something. So, look for me. I'm Narara. Narara. Say hi. Anyone that's out there. Now, listen. This is show number 79. And today, since there's no Mecky, I welcome anyone to call in at all who's listened to any of our shows, and you can ask me any questions about anything to do with our shows. And you know what? If you ask me about anything, I'm still going to have an opinion on it. Don't you worry about that. If I don't know, I'll Google it and I'll give you an answer, but it won't be my opinion. Then I'll formulate my opinion, and I'm certainly going to do that. Okay, if you are in the US of A, you can call in on 347-688-2902. If you have trouble with that number, you can call in on exactly the same number, 347-688-2912. Or if you have Skype, which is actually really handy. It's almost on everything now. I use it on my phone, by the way, everyone. It's really cool. You can just add Freedom Screen. That's Freedom and then Screen as in fly screen. Freedom Screen, and you can call in that way as well. I'd like to say thanks to Solaris. Great show. And Solaris, if you're not busy, message me in the chat room or on Skype, and I'd love to have your presence on as well. Like I said before, if you have any questions about anything we've ever talked about on this show, and we've done 78 shows, I'm sure there's someone out there that has a question. Now, you don't have to come on air and ask a question. You can just ask it in the chat room if you're a little shy. At the moment, I can't affect your voice, so I'm sorry about that. I'm still working on that technology. But until then, chat room, just call us up. It's all good. So, a week and a half back, I did a pretty cool interview on the Third Phase of Moon show to do with my book. This isn't just a self-promotion, but it's a self-promotion. It's a cross-promotion as well. They are also hosts on this network, and I've been following them for some time on YouTube. Amazing amount of research that they've done into, with people all around the world, sending them information about UFOs and talking to them. I can't grain of salt everything. I think there's some validity. I can't even talk today. I don't know what's wrong. I don't think I've spoken in hours, so I've sort of, my tongue's not warmed out. I jumped on my PC right before the show, and I didn't get to warm up. And I have Thanks, Solaris. Yeah, looking forward to it. Just if you're okay, yeah, that'd be great. Hey, I've been building a chicken run out of the toughest timber that we have in Australia. I'm silly. You know, it blunts drills. You can't even hammer a nail into it. It's so ridiculously tough. I want this thing to last for a while. And we got 3 eggs today from the 3 chooks. We're going to get about another 5 chooks. And, you know, I think we're doing all right. We're now starting our planting because it's just spring, first day of spring today, everyone, by the way. Yay. As well as Father's Day, so I'm a father. I didn't say mother, I'm a father. And, you know, I woke up to my girls giving me hugs. I think it's tremendous. What we do next in the show at this point in time is normally talk about the news. Now, I know that everyone's talking about Syria, and please don't be tired of it. I spoke last night on a round table with Michael Hemmingson, Solaris, Weisberg, and Tones. Tones was hosting the round table. You know, and we've all got our opinions, and I think we're pretty close to all exactly the same opinion on this. However, I was doing some digging, and I found some things that I think might be really important, and I'd like for you to do your own research. No dramas. So I'm getting messages here and there. The first thing that I thought that would be interesting is, in January of this year... Hey, thanks, JMJ. Yeah, cool, man. I hope it was okay. He was talking about the referencing the third phase of Moon interview, and JMJ in the chat room, because remember, this is a two-way street. He just messaged me and said, yeah, he heard me on it. Awesome. In January, this is to do with Syria. Now, this is a very serious topic, but I am going to move away from this and have a bit of fun a bit later. So, Syria, I don't know what your opinion is of it. You know, those terrible people using chemical weapons and shooting people. You know, there's been 100,000 deaths in Syria. 100,000. Did we care less? No. Did we? Couldn't care less. I don't care who kills what where, right? Honest. I just don't. Using chemical weapons? That's an atrocious... It's an atrocity. That's what atrocious is. It's an atrocity. It's awful. Did America do anything the first time around? No. Do you want to do something now? Well, it seems that way. Does England want to take part? No, they got burnt. They got burnt because America said, and the US government, not Americans, but the US government, said there was weapons of mass destruction. Come on our hunt for them. Let's go hunt them together, shall we? England and Australia, by the way. And guess what? They turned up nothing, killed lots of people, and the English government was thrown out of government at the next election because they went with what the American government had said. Obviously, it was found in a hearing, which is called a Royal Commission, that there was in fact no information regarding weapons of mass destruction, and in fact they went in there with zero premise except for to take over the government, to topple the government. And that's why England is now reticent. They're not going to join the US in, bombarding Syria with missiles. Whether those missiles are targeted to crucial components, that hasn't been discussed yet as a strategy. Clearly it wasn't the last war, and it would be if you're going to spend $600,000 per missile. I think you'd want to make sure they were landing on the right things. But of course there's going to be women and children on every crucial target, so there's going to be complaints. But what I found out, having given that part of the background of it, is in January of this year, there was a hacked email that came out of, I think, Kuala Lumpur or something like that. And this was the US-backed plan to stage chemical weapons attack in Syria. I am going to paste this link. I don't want to go off on this and for everyone to think that, no, this isn't the case. So I'm going to paste this link in. I'm going to talk about it first before I paste it, just to give myself some credibility. This is where I'm getting information from. And that is that the defence contractor, Britam, B-R-A-T-I-M, sorry, B-R-I-T-A-M, that's correct. The defence contractor email claims that Britam, director, was talking to the founder of that company. And they talked about, in this email, they talked about there being an incredible amount of money if they get this right. And that is basically starting a war, creating a weapon that was going to be a chemical weapon used by them to stage the attack, and then war is going to be on them. So that these are military contractors, awesome stuff, they get to start spending money. However, the email was found, and I'm going to paste this link. Honestly, don't hate me. But I when I first found this link back in January, I thought it was an interesting thing. I better put that away. Who knows? And guess what? In June, the G8 in Ireland, the G8 didn't want Assad in power, right, and stated he had used chemical weapons before. So why keep him in power? Why let him step up? And Putin blocked the suggestion to force Assad to step aside, to step down from government. Now that's an interesting thing, because last year, Obama said, I'm going to cut all my military spending. Yeah, we're spending too much, we're overextended, and we have no money, and we're borrowing all the money we spend anyway. But what I'm going to do is, none of these cuts are going to affect the Pacific. However, if anyone out there uses chemical weapons, and it come down on you, we're going to teach you a lesson. Fair call. You know, it was only 2007 that everyone should have had their chemical weapons destroyed as stockpiles. It was 1997 that everyone decided it was a bad idea to use them. And 2007, that was the end date for the stockpile destruction. Yeah, who believes that happened? So, it has to be said that only 2 months after the G8, and in that period of time, there was meant to be a meeting between Putin and Obama, which Obama turned down. Meeting. He didn't really state that he was angry with Putin, but, you know, that last discussion didn't go well. But then he's backed down. This is a warmonger. Then, in August, of course, the chemical weapons were used in Syria, but this is the biggest note. This is the biggest thing to remember, that no one claimed responsibility for actually using it. The rebels said no, the government said no, no one used them, and yet here's the evidence of it. The evidence were there, like the cheese whiz coming out the nose. That's the big sign of a sarin attack. Now, America are moving ships. They can't go into Syrian waters. They're in international waters. Russia can go into Syrian waters. That's a 12k, I think, off the coast boundary around there. The 12k is useless. It should be like 100 k's or something. But Russian ships have now moved in, and they're the anti-missile missiles. So even if America was to launch, that the likelihood of all of those missiles getting through is low. Some of them would clearly be destroyed, hopefully by the Russians, to prevent their ally from getting attacked. But putting a ship in place to stop another missile, I think that's a dangerous situation. You know, you only have to hit the Russian ship by mistake, oops, and then you've got WW3. At the moment, it's a proxy war between the two countries instead of a third party. Now it's at one of the allies' places. That's just not right. You know, the thing that gets me, like I've already pasted into the chat room, the Syrian hacked email link, and here is the false flag Putin. I've just closed the chat room. I swear I'm not having a good day today. I seem to be doing everything wrong everywhere. Anyway, it has to be said that it doesn't look like war's in any way trying to be avoided. It appears as though all the steps are being created to, in fact, instigate a war of some kind, and that's really disappointing. We don't see diplomats out there saying, hey, just, settle down. There's no one telling anyone to do any of that rubbish. It is clearly the intent to begin this. You don't prevent talks from what looks like an enemy. And I keep referring to people, you don't want to stir up, you don't want to wake up the sleeping dragon, China. You don't want to wake them up. That's never going to be good news. All right, so let me see if I've pasted the right thing in there. Yeah, looks like it might be. Yeah, awesome. All right, so I popped that in the chat room for you. Chew on that while I'm still talking about stuff. Save them for later, because I'm making my points, and you're going to miss out on the show. There's an irony there, isn't there, somewhere, I suppose. So keep an eye out for this, and there's another story here which I'm just about to paste in, and that is Australia. How do we fit into this entire picture? Well, we have an election next weekend to discover who is going to be the new leader of Australia. Remember, we don't have presidential elections, we have party elections. We only choose the side, and they elect who is going to be leading. At any time, they can change at any time, makes no difference. And yet everyone seems to complain when they change the leader, going, oh, but I didn't vote for that person. Well, yeah, you voted for the party. People here have no idea. We think we're America, but we have no clue. We're not. So I just want to say a shout out there to Nighthawk, obviously for providing this platform, my soapbox, for Vaubear, love your work, Vaubear, Avi, Dory Bear, Olive, everybody, all the schmoopies and all the monkeys and JMJ and Solaris and Tram, everyone that I know is in here, and they've all been great supporters of the show, and Jer Bear as well, Jerry as well. I need coffee. Well, I've got my hand up because that's what I want to right now. So, our Prime Minister, who is about to, I think today, he becomes the chair of the UN Security Council. He's the chairperson. He doesn't become a chair. He is the chair. And I think the interesting part of this is that I've just pasted the link into the chat. This is what he is currently, our Prime Minister. He says, Rudd reiterates, get out of Syria. Syrian President Bashir al-Assad is a thug and a murderer. And his regime, because they don't call it a presidency, they don't call it a party, they call it a regime. If you listen to every single reference to Bashar al-Assad's political party, it's not. It's a regime. I'd always tangentially go at a 90 degree during I'm reading something. So it says he's a thug and a murderer, and his regime use of chemical weapons against its own people warrants of response, Foreign Minister Bob Carr says. So our Foreign Minister is telling us we should be doing something, and they should be punished for that, like children. But we have no proof of anything yet. The UN hasn't, I think it was today, your time, as the day unfolds, the UN is supposed to be providing information. So far, the untrusted US government, I swear they're so untrustworthy. Sorry, so I've actually dragged Solaris in. She's just done a 2-hour stint, and can you hear how heartfelt this is? Like I can't believe that I just have trouble believing in anything the US government says. I don't care which one. Yeah. So our defense minister, our foreign minister, is saying they should be punished like children. That's Syria, but on no basis of any credible information. And then it says the United States is weighing limited, narrow action, which means bombing in particular some, I don't know, schools or, daycare centres, action against Syria, and insists that the world has a duty to act after hundreds of women and children were gassed to death. But, no men, they don't mention any men, but there were men died as well. So this comes from the person who's about to chair the UN Security Council. Kevin Rudd, our current Prime Minister, is saying, get out of Syria. And that was yesterday, both of our times yesterday, at 5 p.m. So when he went home from work at 5 p.m., he put this statement out, get out of Syria. It clearly means to me that they have all the intention of backing it, and he's going to be the person who chairs the meeting. Unbiased, clearly unbiased, right? He should have said, we'll wait to see what the findings are, and we'll make a determination based on those findings and solely on those findings, not for past history. As even in court, you can't be tried for a previous crime. If your current crime, it can't be listed as your behavioural characteristic, unless your charges are for those in the current court. But we're happy to do this for any other country. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, they didn't do this the first time there was chemical weapons used. Maybe it didn't hit the media enough to provoke any warrant, for any reaction, or people just don't care. Like, how quickly did North Korea's news disappear out of the news?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But we never saw him make an announcement. This was all rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't believe one word of that, right? It's like they wanted to attack someone. I'm getting a bit antsy. They wanted to do something somewhere. Who can we attack? Oh, let's pretend North Korea's getting upset for a minute, right?
Yeah, really.
So the same thing is, did you hear me talking about this email, the hacked email from January?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It's false flag, people. Listen, nothing's real. Yeah, the weapons are real. Yes, it's really bad, but no one claimed it. When no one claims it, it's not like two children who have set fire to something, and you go, did you do it? And they go, no. And you ask the other one, did you do it? No. Because they're going to get in trouble. These people went, we don't even have those weapons. Good luck. They're not running away from it. They know they're going to get bombed back to the Stone Age, right?
Oh, yeah.
So why, they could have gone, oh, actually, yeah, by the way, sorry, it was us. They could have said that, and they haven't. And that's what's really, really annoying about this, is once again, here we go, weapons of mass destruction, and I'm going to say that I reckon that the only reason Obama has gone to Congress with his thing is because it's going to be an automated yes. I think he would. The only reason he'd do that isn't for public opinion, because obviously he hasn't done anything that's going to get him public opinion in the past. So why start now?
Yeah, that's very true.
Unless he listened to Tones last night, who said, you know what, you could be the best guy on the planet. You could fix all this stuff just by stepping away from it.
Mm-hmm. That's true too. Yeah, He screwed it up. He just completely screwed up.
Yeah. So, and I've said this before, and look, I remember I went to school in California, although that's not really a great rendition of the whole of America. Right? And even the people I went to school with joked that, they were the real America, and everyone else was just like some kind of foreign state that they didn't really go to very often. But they were jokes, and I knew that they were tongue-in-cheek. But just to say really, that I have this weird feeling that they're just going to go ahead and do it. And what's it going to be? Is it to the detriment of who? I think everyone globally.
Right. Yeah, it's a lose-lose scenario when it boils down to. We were thinking that he'd be stopped and that he wouldn't pursue this. So what I was hearing earlier, that the military put the brakes on him, but maybe not. Who knows?
I know I heard the same thing, that they were, they're saying, we don't, unless you can spend money, We're not going to fire a shot. But just I don't know. Well, we'll see. You know, it's early days yet, and the UN weren't going to release their stuff until today anyway. But this is the other point. If Obama is trying to if he's trying to talk Putin down from saying, look, don't defend them at all, we've got proof, and then he doesn't supply Putin with the proof, that's bad. Mm-hmm. They can only do a sea to land assault. They can't cross any boundaries, because if they do, then they have to tell the people that they're going to cross their landmass with a missile that there's an inbound coming, but it's not for them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which also gives away the position of that firing, whoever fired it. So if they've got their special bases or hidden underground stuff, or they've got subs, the smoke plume gives it away. They know exactly where they are at that moment. So if there was anything at all that was going to happen, and maybe Russia says, you know what, have you ever seen like a crazy scene in a movie where everyone's got the guns pointed at each other?
Mm-hmm.
Well, America's the only one with a gun at someone else, not in that circle. Right. And it looks like Russia and China is just waiting to get their teeth into a good war, I reckon. I don't think they're always going to be the sleeping giant or the sleeping dragon. Mm-hmm. I think all they need to do is get, Russia getting some movement on it, and voila, I think there's more likelihood of China just ramping this up to be, like, we're in.
Right.
It's like playing poker, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I'll see you. I'm in, yeah? I'm in for
and
this.
In Russia, I would never underestimate Russia. Not at all.
No, not at all. So we know that America and Russia and China, as a one unit, have been playing, we call it silly buggers. It means tormenting each other in the eastern China Sea and the South China Sea, and making their ships go around Japan to terrorize, like, not as terrorists with weapons, but to antagonize is probably the best word, the Chinese military, because they're not supposed to be in that channel, or they're not supposed to be going down in that area of water, right? And there's treaties that say no, you're not allowed to. But yeah, here they are openly flaunting themselves, and it's so antagonistic that if anything would happen, it would just be, oh, they shot at us.
Right.
It's like dancing and teasing someone until they hit you.
Yeah, provoking the attack, for sure.
Exactly.
What do they call it? Passive harassment?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, seemingly innocent maneuvers around the thing, around the ocean. And, we know that in the Cold War, we heard a lot about this between America and Russia and the submarines and the Arctic Circle, and there was really close calls where one of them had to sit on the bottom and hope the other one made it over the top in the shallow water, in which they did. But all of those subs that failed underwater and lost people's lives, because of silly games, it just really annoys me. It really does, and it gets it makes me think about this in a whole new way. So, we are just chess pieces, and the people playing couldn't care less, because they can just close the board up and go home, yeah? Mm-hmm. So there's another story here all to do with this. It says US-Russia said to up naval presence in Gulf region. So they're all doing it, and this is the Harry S. Truman now, which appears to be, it's just arrived, in the Arabian Sea. And it's meant to take the place of the Nimitz, but the Nimitz hasn't headed home yet. So now there's two. There's the Truman and the Nimitz, both there in the Gulf. So there's two carriers, and I believe that's Fleet 5, the entire Fleet 5 as well. There's two fleets that are next to each other. So it's an overpowering amount of force for anything that, if it was only meant to be like one destroyer with a couple of missiles on it, yeah, big deal, right? But this is a full strike force. In fact, it's 2 strike forces together to do this, and I just think it's way too much for way too little.
Right? Overkill big time. Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
And there's going to be an exchange. I mean, even if they do something so-called mild, there's always going to be a counterattack. I mean, come on. And that's the problem. That the counterattack is really what they need to understand. It's not going to be pretty.
No. And look, I've been watching these videos, and please, I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I think it's the only real place to get information, not all your information, but certainly information from, because the television stations just don't provide half of this content, or a quarter of it even, maybe even a tenth, to where they really should. And one of those is, what do the modern weapons look like today? So in fact, there's a missile that you can fire, and it instead of just arcing up into space and the rockets and everything, the engine drops off and it splits into a whole bunch. It splits into a whole bunch of warheads, and some of those are decoys, and the 8 of those fall down, and they're all like 400 kilotons equivalent of TNT, yeah, but they're nukes. They can be nukes, but they've also got, like, the Tomahawks can be nuclear, and they don't have a glide path. They're just a fly till the end type of missile. And then of course you've got the opponents, which they've got steerable warheads, so they can evade some of the anti-missile defense systems, because their calculations are based on what's called a ballistic arc. So you fire it up and it arcs and it comes down, not under power, but under a glide path, under a ballistic path. And so they're calculable. However, the opposition, the Russians and the Chinese, both have steerable warheads to be able to, be unpredictable and evade some of those, those missile shield systems. So I think it's really interesting. Whichever way this goes, if this is the beginning of the, I'm going to say it again, New World Order, if whatever the result of this ends up in depopulation, I'm using all the right, this is buzzword bingo right now, Solaris.
It's a no world order.
Yeah, I think, yeah, well, if I wouldn't mind if it was like idiocracy, at least people survived. Right, but you know what? We've been joined by Michael Hemmingson. How you doing, Michael? How was your interview? How was your show with Solaris?
I'm not sure. That was my clone on that interview.
It's awesome.
You've got one of those.
Yeah.
So happy you're back, Michael. It's the Breakfast Club. All right. How can you miss us if we don't go away, right? Yeah,
that's true. We'll be doing this round the clock.
Yep, you will hear us the rest of your days.
There's so much stuff that's coming into the end of September. Like, all of this was planned. Like, you've heard me buy, Tones refers to this as buying stock in October, because of there's a fleet review where all of 53 nations' naval vessels will be in Sydney, Australia. Only the coalition ships, by the way. Russia and China and North Korea aren't invited. Of course, Iran as well. They're not invited to participate. However, all the other countries are invited to participate. Now, I think this still falls into the same category. I think that and this is my thoughts, everything that I seem to be looking at now seems to be either people are driving it at ISON, the comet, saying ISON is the reason why they're doing all these things, all the military testing, all of the, what's it called, Region 3, Solaris. I sent you some stuff on this recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're in Region 3, and I forget the towns that are involved because my American geography is terrible. But they're supplying children at school with 3 days of rations. Like, when has that ever happened in the past?
Good point.
Anyone? Never?
How about you, Michael?
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Hey, I like the new picture.
Yeah.
You never
like
forget
that?
those eyes, man, I'm telling you.
That one was just for you, man.
Thank you so much. It's if I was on like a polygraph right now, you'd see it going berserk.
Wow.
It's appreciated, I tell you. It's always good to be grounded by something. He's just changed everyone listening, he's just changed his profile picture in Skype to be, it looks like a tall grey, not a short grey. It's more a tall grey close-up of the face. It's very nice. It's black and white, and it really says everything that I've ever known. So the point is, if they're doing these things and they're stepping up in the US, they're providing school children with 3 days of rations, including water and food, for them, and they're going to be delivering this throughout September until the end of September, for the month of September.
Australia?
Sorry?
Where is this at?
This is in the US.
Oh, really? I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, so it's Region 3, and they're providing every school child with 3 days of food rations. That's just when has that happened? This is like the seed bank. What meeting did that become pertinent? At what discussion was that? I wish I was there at the discussion so I knew what the reason for building these seed banks were. You know.
Exactly.
So in this one, they're providing school children with 3 days of rations. I say that's the third time and last time. But for what reason? You know that after about 15 minutes and having these children isolated from a teacher or a parent, they're going to start gnawing into this food anyway. You know, unsupervised, the children are going to open up the water and go, "Oh, cool, that was great water. Look at that, it was nice and clean. It smelled like Mylar from the packaging." But is there something that we don't know about? Why would it only be Region 3 and it not be national across the US? What is it with all these hideous amounts of hollow tip rounds that the US are buying for internal use only, which aren't UN approved for warfare? Why are the US police officers getting these militarized Humvee people movers with gun turrets from the inside out and dressing them in the same outfits that the people in Iraq fought against the Iraqis in? The same helmet, the same jackets, the same, bulletproof vest material, the same. They're just blue. It's the same. Side by side, they're exactly the same kit out. What on earth is going on there?
Mm-hmm.
Why militarize it? I don't understand. Where's the threat? There isn't a threat. Unless there's this big panic that suddenly America is going to want to have this uprising and civil war.
Mm-hmm.
If you're
That's
going
what
to
they're
go...
looking at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But where's that evidence? Are they just...
They're psycho.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, they're targeting innocent civilians in the United States. I mean, they're profiling everyone and everything and accusing, falsely that people are going to be domestic terrorists just because they stand up for their constitutional rights. So, yeah, you can see how it can go ugly very quick. And the fact that they're doing what they're doing, I mean, they're preparing for something. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's really out of control.
So when I'm buying this stock, I'm buying the stock in October. It's about, turning off the space fence. It's about putting all the naval ships down in the southern hemisphere somewhere, right? Down near us. Because that's what their excuse is to arrive at this fleet review. But the ships aren't even in our fleet. It's only ever been fleet review for the people that are in the fleet. Your fleet. Not everyone else. But it's just a big excuse. And it was only decided in 2011 that it's going to happen. So in 2011 is when I think that they discovered whatever it was that was going to happen. I don't know why. They're outfitting everyone. I think that whoever the survivors are going to be have to be under control so they don't overthrow the stupid government for not telling us. Whatever that happens to be, whatever it is that happens. which I still don't know about. You know, we're still blind to stuff that's coming at us in space, and yet they turn the space fence off.
Right.
Even if they did know that it was going to hit us, they still wouldn't tell us anyway, because then that's the end of civilization, because everyone just quit. Oh, I don't have to go to work because the world's going to end anyway. You know, people would hide.
If they take over, it's the end of the world also.
Exactly.
I mean, who wants to live in that kind of a, fascist illusion? I sure don't.
Well, this is the funny thing, we do. This is the
sure
exact same world we live in.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, isn't it? I like freedom myself.
Oh yeah, that's right. If Mekki was here right now, do you know what he would say? He would say that there's no better prison than one without walls, and you become conditioned to do the right thing, even though there's nothing to stop you from really misbehaving. Like doing a U-turn on over here double yellow or double centre lines is illegal. Why? Well, if the road was populated full of traffic, it'd probably be a bad thing. But at the middle of the night, it should be optional, so that you can do a U-turn. But you're not allowed to. You can't do, where I live, you can't do a U-turn at a set of lights. It's illegal. At a set of traffic lights, you're not allowed to do a U-turn. Even though your GPS is telling you, do a U-turn, you're not allowed to obey it. And there's signs up saying, do not obey your GPS because it's illegal. Because people do it. They just go, oh, my defense was the GPS told me I'm just an idiot now, and I'm driving with my GPS, and I'm only obeying what it says. And that's their defense in court. And they go, well, you are an idiot, and you still have to pay the fine. I'm sorry. But we'll put a sign up saying, for those of you who have GPSs, don't be an idiot and do a U-turn at a set of lights. So, this is the other thing. GPSs. Guess what's happening at the end of September? I think between the 24th and the 29th. All of the GPS systems around the globe are being unified into one system, instead of there being a separation between all the different countries with their own stuff in the sky and the military one, which is a separate unit altogether, with a really high accuracy of down to, I think, about a foot. Whereas the one we have in our car, the private one, is around about 5 yards. I'll use yards, not meters, but they're roughly the same. So when you're driving your car down a road, sometimes if you ever notice on your GPS it might be, just off the road a bit sometimes. Well, that's the inaccuracy of the GPS. Most of them have a little algorithm in there that says, well, you must be on the road because you've been travelling on it at the speed limit, so you must be on the road. And it puts your arrow on the road rather than being off the road somewhere. And what they're doing at the end of September is actually unifying it, so linking them all together, so there'll only be one signal. And they're also doing a test where they're going to be jamming the GPS signal intentionally to see what happens, now that they're all going to be linked. Now, last night, Tones mentioned something awesome, which was the downing, the apparent accidental downing of 2 attempts for Russia to launch its own GPS satellites. Mm-hmm. This is something really interesting, because why you don't need any more GPS satellites in the sky unless you've got a plan to have a backup. If you want to have your own independent GPS so that in case something ever happened to everyone else's GPS, yours would still work, and in your country. Or, as we know, there's been a truck driver in the US, sorry to jump around here a bit, but in the US there was a truck driver who had a GPS jamming system in his truck. And he turned off the GPS, he turned on the GPS jammer so that they couldn't track how fast he was going in his truck. But what it did as a subsequence was cause drivers on the freeway to get lost and have accidents. Have you heard about this one? This was only last week. Okay. No. I implore you, please, Google GPS jamming, and you'll find all the news stories to do with this. It's only recent, and he looks like he's going to do 2 years in jail or some rubbish. And the GPS jamming is such a crucial thing that if you've got an inbound missile towards you, you just put your GPS jammer on and it gets lost. It just goes, I don't know where I'm going. Well, just a minute ago.
Where does it go, though?
Well, it depends on the logic that's been built into the GPS. It could say, I still had 2 minutes of burn, so I'm going to continue on it and just get near to my destination from what my estimates, like a dead reckoning. My phone has dead reckoning in it, by the way. Even if I have no GPS signal, it'll still say, I'm accelerating or decelerating at this speed. I know the current speed and the direction I'm going in, so I can still estimate where the phone is. Is that not amazing? Mm-hmm. That same technology in my phone that's only cost less than $100 in real cost, not the landed cost, which is, or the retail cost, which is like $900, but the actual manufacturing cost of the entire phone, even though the circuit board's only, 1 inch by 1 inch inside the phone, that technology inside a nice missile, if it was only guided for space reasons, not for destruction, you could have it work out exactly where it was pretty well, just from this dead reckoning system that they've got in there. But so if you've got an inbound missile, you turn the jammer on, it just gets lost, it doesn't know where to go, and either it would self-destruct or fly past its target to somewhere else. So you might have some luck. It says if it's not on a glide path and it doesn't have laser tracking. But if it doesn't have any of that, that's the beauty of this thing that tests are going to do, is join it all together and then be able to turn it off when they want. Now, doesn't that disturb you that that's also happening in the end of this month?
Yeah, everything seems to be happening the first week of October, pretty much, right?
Yeah, and that's why I'm buying a lot of stock in October.
Me too, actually. Yeah.
And there's training missions, and there's I've even seen the thing about Russians on American soil doing training with American machines. How does that work? Unless we're selling them those old machines for some reason, I don't know. But this whole thing is a little bit of a worry, and all of the people who are, the remote viewers that were doing future viewing had all come to the conclusion that something was going to happen this year, and no one knows why or what it is. So, I don't want to be, I'm not a killjoy, right? And so I'm just like a realist.
Yeah, situation awareness, basically.
Yeah, and if you do, at least you need someone at the front of the vehicle looking out the front window.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm trying to get more of this information and the reason behind it. At least I'd be able to do an affidavit afterwards about this is what happened. This was how either ineffectual the government was, or how many lies that song last night was hilarious, by the way. How many lies the governments tell, how they try to get you on side with deception. When you watch a magician and they're holding a card out in front of them to the side, their other hand is doing something because they've got your attention away from it and from what they're actually trying to attempt to do. So this is really what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this whole thing. We're watching it all unfold, aren't we, everyone? Yeah. And, it really is annoying.
It's beyond annoying. It's frustrating, and it's just grim.
Do you know what's that thing about Snowden? Snowden did Snowden? Oh no, it was the other guy who's being tried at the moment, wasn't it? There was a guy before Snowden, that young kid in the Pentagon that gave Julian Assange all those documents on a USB stick or whatever.
I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah, sorry, whoever you are, we feel for you.
What?
Michael's there somewhere. Oh, did you hear that?
What was that?
No, what you were saying, David. I was wondering if Michael had heard you.
Oh, well, that first guy was the guy that talked about about drones being used to kill people. It's like, kill who? Oh, kill the people that we suspect. What? How can you kill someone who hasn't been tried? What happened to due cause? Is it really a war? How can you kill someone? This is that Tom Cruise movie, killing someone before they commit the crime. If they haven't committed the crime, they haven't done anything wrong yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the hard parts about this, was that, you know, you can have drones in the sky flying around doing whatever they do, being remote controlled or, you know, autonomous, who cares, if they're only looking for the people actually committing crimes, rather than just saying, well, this person's talking a whole bunch of stuff, this person is buying, they're going down a hardware store or a farming store and buying stuff that could be used to make a weapon. I won't say what they are. I know it's fertilizer. You can just buy a big truck full of fertilizer. I've got a big farm. Mm-hmm. If you actually had a farm, they could target you.
Yeah.
Because, he's the little red light's gone off. This guy's never bought that much before, and he's in a truck. And he bought detonators as well. It's not very hard to make an explosive from a whole bunch of things that either at home or you can buy in your local stores. Yeah, I'm not asking you to do it. I'm saying that really it's a very, very tough... I'm sorry, Michael. It's a very tough thing. And I'm going to throw it. I'm going to throw it just before the end of this first hour that I've just been yabbing on for all this time. I'm going to throw it to my guests on tonight and say, look, what's your impression of all of this before we get to the break?
Me? Go ahead, Michael.
Me? What?
Yeah.
I believe all this, I mean, it's been planned for a while since Paul Wolfowitz wrote that white paper, The Road to Damascus, in the mid-90s. They've been planning this for a while. I don't know if you heard Weisenberg talking earlier today. He said he had information that Obama had already given the order to strike, but the Navy refused.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why they refused is because their budget has been cut. And that's why Obama's going back to Congress for this vote. It's actually asking to reinstate more budget for the Navy. Because the Navy's, they're going to deploy them. I mean, they're out there anyway, but firing off all these missiles and stuff is costly. And it's their way of getting their budget back. Which is an interesting take. I mean, I know that Obama's been at odds with the top guys in the Pentagon. This is why he fired so many of them. What 180 of them or something like that a couple of months ago?
Jeez.
He's just getting rid of people who've been blocking him, who've been blocking this since the Bush administration. My information and my belief is that they had planned to go in after Iran and Syria back as far back as 2006 or 7, but the certain quote unquote white hats within the Pentagon had stopped it.
Well, you know that was it General Wesley Clark? Had mentioned the 7 countries in 5 years toppling of the governments, and the 2 last ones on the list that haven't been done yet are Syria and then Iran.
Right. Iran's on the last of the list.
The time scale is just, the time frame just blew out, which is not unlike anything the government does at all. Whether it's building a new bridge or a roadway or promising funding for hospital or whatever it is, the time frame just blows out and the budget goes up on it because they promised it because they got no money. So it looks as though this was in fact really planned back in 2001, 12 days after 9/11.
Oh, sure.
And that's when he talked about that from that date. And they've done every single one of those other countries. All 5 have done, I can't remember them all offhand right now, but they've done them all. The last 2 are Syria and Iran, and that looks like a dead cert right now, doesn't it? Any excuse to start the thing, and then, while they claim there's no boots on the ground kind of attacking, you don't want to start, poking Russia in the ribs, do you? Why?
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh well, I'm jaded, and I think Russia's involved with it. This is all theater.
You think?
Yep. I think this has been, there has, some good information that, the Clinton administration had already planned World War III with China, that they had planned it for a battle. Just as many people claim, there certainly seems to be evidence towards, World War I and II were planned. These things just don't happen. These are planned by the bankers, by whoever.
Did you know that, it was America had planned that Britain was going to attack the US in 1939?
I heard about that.
Yeah. I watched an hour-long documentary on it, and I forget the name of the paper, but it's available in the archives. And it's not in this archives in Revolution Radio, by the way, but in the National Archive. But it was a credible threat that they were going to get their land back, and it's clearly from a paranoid government that was drawn up, because there was zero intention of it. It just, when you start to tick all the boxes, that was the direction that looked like that was heading. And so they had to put a thing together to say, well, this is how we would react to it. This is the time frame in which we'd launch an attack. These are the amounts of troops. They put the whole paper together, including all the costings for it. And I think that's extraordinary. And it wasn't...
It's kind of like old Mad King George's attempt to attack the U.S. or his plans.
Yeah, you know what? If the leaders want to attack each other, put them into a room and let's put it on national television. Just them. Because the people couldn't care less. Unless you're driven by the powerful words from this, and I hate to use the word leader, because I'm not following these guys. You only follow a leader. Otherwise, there's some crank, some madman doing stuff over there somewhere, pointing randomly at my room, at some wall.
Well, several hundred years ago and for a long time, wars were fought by monarchs and bankers, and now they're being fought by bankers and defense contractors. There's an interesting TV show on TV called Da Vinci's Demons. Aside from that, what's going on during that time is cities used to be like complete nations there in Italy. So they have Florence, where the De Medici bankers run, and Rome is planning a war with Florence only because they went default on their loans with the De Medici bankers. So the only reason why they wanted the war was to clear their debt.
That's a good reason. I like that.
And so we got the wars now to distract from economic things, to beef up defense contracting stuff. War is profitable. War is business. And that's why this has been planned.
It's sort of the reason why I want all electricity to turn off forever. So my mortgage goes away.
Right. I hadn't think about that, yeah. All our debts go away when the grid goes down, right? Yeah,
man, I've got buy-in on that one. I want part of that. Whatever that is, how do I get part of that, right? Because that would be great. Oh, boy.
Zero it out.
Yeah, it would. It'll get taken upstairs. There we go. Yeah, so I think it's really funny. I'm expecting to break any second. So I don't know who's if the programming's out or whatever, but I expect the break music to start. So
Mr. Music,
there we go. We'll see you on the other side of the break, everyone listening to Shiny Side Out.
Psychic.
That's what it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Revolution Radio. You're listening listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Thank you, Hawk. Awesome channel. You're back with David Mecki, shining us out on freedomslips.com. This is listener-funded radio. If you like what you hear, please go to freedomslips.com, even if you're listening to this on YouTube, and push the donate button on the site support page. It's on the left in the chat too, by the way, if you're in the chat right now. And if you're not in the chat, get in the chat. We want you in the chat. Get in the chat. You really... your donation is greatly appreciated and helps run this station. Oh, we're halfway through show number 79. Mecki's not with us today, if you've just joined us. I have Solaris, Michael Hemmingson, and I've just dragged in the one and only Steve Travesty. I'd like to be able to just round this off, if you wanted to bring anything to it. I've also been asked by White Rabbit in the chat room. Remember, this is a fully backwards and forwards thing we have going on here. It's interactive. Hey Narara, how about the alternative view? Perhaps all this focus on the Middle East is really a search for something. Actually, that's pretty true. My belief about Iraq was that it was all about the Sumerian texts and scrolls to try and get some information. It's not beyond a government to go hunting for ancient tech around the world. The Nazis did it before World War II. Think about that. I really don't know. I don't know. Anyone on the call? Solaris, Michael, Steve, what's your thoughts on that?
Go ahead, you guys. Hey, Steve.
Hi.
Hello again.
I didn't call in. They called me. I promise. No, I think that's a really high possibility. There's a lot of different esoteric circles that talk about that. There's various things like energy vortexes that exist over Damascus as well as Cairo and all that stuff. There's reasons why, they put sacred sites in the locations that they do and why they build central economic and governmental hubs in the places that they do, and it's all related to the Earth grid. And everything else. One way or the other, there is certainly the oil thing. That is one factor of it on the non-esoteric level that's always there. There's pipeline, a lot of it's pipeline stuff right now because they're trying. Like I mentioned this in Solaris's show earlier, is that part of the reason why they keep hurting the Middle East the way that they are. And have been for quite some time, is to make sure that they never reorganize the Ottoman Empire and that they never rise that the Middle East doesn't get reorganized again. And certainly guys like Iran would be a major player in this. Turkey is still interested in bringing back the Ottoman Empire. You got to remember, the Ottoman Empire, it's been less than 100 years since the Ottoman Empire was destroyed. Think about that for a second. So, and the Ottoman Empire was destroyed, in around 1919. The end of World War I is effectively when the Ottoman Empire was dismantled. Mm-hmm. And maybe the only thing keeping the Ottoman Empire from having its rebirth is the existence of America as a superpower. So imagine what's going to happen to the Middle East tomorrow if the event happens and America's empire crashes, because then what you're going to see happen is that all these little places that America bought from the British back in the day are probably going to have to get sold wholesale. All these bases, all these little islands and things like that, all that stuff that happened during the I forget the name of it, but they made some big deal with Britain, which is where they bought all that stuff from Britain. Well, America's going to have to sell all of those ports and everything that they gained just ahead of World War II, or ahead of their involvement in World War II. England was already involved in World War II and had already lost some of its empire to the Nazis, I believe, if I'm recalling my history correctly. And also, I'm assuming you called me because the little factoid I threw at you, because you were talking about England almost attacked the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when I didn't know that, but the first thing that came to my memory about that was knowing knowing the secret history, which isn't even that big of a secret, is that the United States was on a fast track in the 1930s for fascism, and that was sort of the goal of the Republican Party at the time, and still is the goal of the Republican Party now, being the party of corporations. Because fascism is just when the corporation and the state become one. So you had guys like Herbert Walker Bush, which is Granddaddy Bush.
Oh no, really?
Of course, because he pretty much founded the CIA and all that stuff, and he was a known Nazi. Hoover, J. Edgar Hoover, publicly called Herbert Walker Bush a Nazi, and was incredibly suspicious of not Herbert and was incredibly suspicious of George H.W. Bush, and it is believed in conspiracy circles for the assassination of JFK that Lee Harvey Oswald was actually an FBI agent, and because the FBI lost and the CIA won by succeeding in assassinating JFK, and Lee Harvey Oswald needed to be a secret as an FBI asset, if you will. He had to become the fall guy when he was supposed to be the hero that stopped the assassination of JFK. That's a big conspiracy theory that has records that back it and is probably true. But at the time in the 1930s, the financial industry here in America, which was being backed by the Republicans, in the politics of the day, was backing the Nazi Party, and that's why we have all the fascism that we have today. That's why we invented the police state in the in the 1920s with Prohibition, and then kept it going with the drug war, which they put into full effect in 1937, and then really had it reach full manifestation in 1970 with Richard Nixon. But basically that was the way we were going. We were never going to get involved in the war. I mean, why do you think FDR was friends with Stalin at the time? And everybody knows the Cold War was a huge ruse. We were still friends. It's just that we were secretly friends after 1945.
But it's funny you say that. Even Stan Deo mentioned recently on our show that he was in Australia working with Russian scientists and English and American scientists and Australian scientists all together in the same spot, working on anti-gravity. So it sort of put into question that the Cold War wasn't really Cold War at all. To think that there's a phone on the desk that the American president can pick up and talk to the Russian president at the time. Like they're talking to each other. That's like being friends on Facebook. Well, yeah,
but then again, isn't that always what we're trying to do? It's always been they've always had the conservatives play it up as we got to be tough, this, that, and the other thing, and then the Democrats are always playing it up. I mean, I know you're Australian, but I think your duality parties over there probably have the same rhetorics.
So they do. Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. It's all the same mind control program, so we're all speaking the same language. Mm-hmm. Thank God for that. Never thought I'd say that about a mind control program. Anyway.
I loved it, but I loved the leader. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I love Big Brother. But anyway, And they're always saying, "Oh, we need to talk with our enemies," yada yada yada, and they always will use something like talking about how we always talk to the premiers of the Soviet Union, and all that stuff. And I mean, in every single one of these films, I mean, go watch Dr. Strangelove for Christ's sake. Like some of the absolute best jokes about frenemies are made in that movie. That movie is seriously, it's one of the great Stanley Kubrick films.
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons why they had him film the moon landing. Which, by the way, the moon landing, the whole bit about the moon landing was because JFK was trying to be the good guy, is that he wanted to end the Cold War by, instead of having an arms race, by having a space race and building a friendship with the Soviet Union based on that. And that was one of the other little things that they didn't like, because, thing like World War III was supposed to happen way back with the Cuban Missile Crisis. And that would have been a nice, genuine, straight-up Holocaust.
Oh, I completely agree. But, it's crazy. What I wanted to do, I just... all this war thing, I just wish we were the ones who were looking at it all, and we were the ones who made decisions, because I swear I probably wouldn't have had a war probably ever. And seriously, if two people that are leading countries can't step around a war or a conflict for whatever reason, it means they're a madman. Madman. And the acronym for MAD is mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
So that itself tells you that going into something, the casualty rate is going to be so high that you shouldn't probably do it. And yet here we still see the same thing over and over again. Is it because that to become a world leader you have to be completely nutty? Do you have to be so insane as to do this on behalf of your people, bring your grudges from whenever it was, and not be a diplomat? At what point did we stop? I think maybe we never did it, but voting in diplomats, or maybe Obama seemed to be the diplomat.
I think the problem is that politicians are kind of at the mercy of the media. But whatever we the people consider to be our reality is really forging people's opinions. On my last show, I played a really, really poignant clip from the movie Wag the Dog with Dustin Hoffman and I forget the other guy. And he's sitting there, he's having dinner. Dustin Hoffman's there with his CIA handler and who's posing as some lady that he's with for the evening or something. And then there's a senator sitting across. They're having dinner and they're talking about the validity of these satellite images of a war happening in that third world country in question. And so he's going and he's turning the argument around on him to basically say, like, your intel pretty much doesn't matter, because of this intel, and without saying that he was creating a facade, he's just telling him straight up that the only thing that matters is national security, and your job and national security are one and the same, and if you don't back my horse, you're going to lose your job, which is going to be a loss for national security. And so that's the game of politics, is that these politicians are, they have to go by the marching orders of the mainstream media reality. And because the mainstream media is wholly owned by the corporations that are providing the military surplus for the military industrial complex, people like Northrop Grumman, General Electric, et cetera, that is who they're kowtowing to. They have to, because we're too stupid to realize the difference. These are the people that we that we invest in as our independent informants. That's the problem, is that we've allowed these principally three media conglomerates, CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC, to dictate our entire mental reality.
Yeah, our mental states are driven by it.
And thank God for the internet. Like you said earlier, YouTube. Yeah. You stated it perfectly well. I feel exactly the same way.
Did you know, Steve?
Hijacker, David Dunger is running the show, not me. I know I talk too much. Hijacker was calling me. I don't know if
Hijacker, just call a station, buddy, and jump in, yeah? I can't pull you in. I don't know what your Skype is. So just go the normal channels to Freedom Screen. Sorry, not Freedom Screen, to the call line. All right. Hey, I was going to say, Steve, I know you're just jumping away from your desk for a second, but do you know, I always believe that political commentary should be like sports commentary. The people watching the sport, commentating to the viewers what's happening, don't put forward their personal opinion in who should win or lose the game. They'll make an objective view and maybe counterpoint each other. Two different people saying, I think these people might win, as a might, not they will win or they should win. I can't believe the other people are, blah blah blah, whatever their current status is in the game. Almost in an attempt to throw the game by opinion. Now, I like that, Steve, what you mentioned about the media. It's so hilarious. In this country, our Rupert Murdoch, has clearly had an argument with one of the politicians, personally, and is driving all of the news stories to promote the other person. We have a two-party prefer system here as well. So the head of the other party, not the ones that are currently in, are the one that is being promoted by the newspaper. Now, we vote next weekend, and yet the front page of the newspapers is suggesting this week to not vote for the current Prime Minister. They said, don't vote for Rudd, for instance. And they're saying vote for the other guy. What? When did news become this, what we're watching now? When did news start telling us which party to vote for? That's not right. It just isn't right. This shouldn't be happening to anybody. And I feel so strongly about this. I've always said that we should be political commentators like sports commentators. Tell them how good their game is. Tell them maybe how they could improve on it. But don't drive people's opinion of who it should be, in fact, that should be winning, or everyone should. Don't tell people who to vote for. You're mad. You're all mad. So I'll see if I'm in fact still on air. I can't believe it. I think maybe it's only Steve that might have dropped off.
Oh,
is that true?
He? I can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, cool. It looks like it's only Steve that dropped off.
Okay.
Do you know, but it does my head in. I swear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that, Steve. That's all right, mate. You just stay online as much as you can. So I wanted to open it up to you guys, Michael and Solaris, and everyone in the chat room, by the way. And I want Hijacker to jump in the call, if he can. I'll just pull him. I'll pull him back in. Looks like he's working again. There you go, Steve. You're back online?
Yep. My internet had
Awesome.
a hiccup.
That's okay. So what I was saying pretty much, Steve, was that our newspapers are telling us who to vote for now. And they're polarised, and they're not in favour of the current government. But really for no reason whatsoever, only that the newspaper, the head of the newspaper is paying for the opposition. They're paying for them. Full page ads. Full page, front page. Vote for this guy. Why? it doesn't make any sense. In fact, the opposition, the biggest case here at the moment is the internet. The current government has said fibre out to everyone. How awesome is that? Wouldn't you love fibre at home? I'll tell you I would. But the opposition, who isn't in right now, who's being told by the Murdoch press to be voted in by everybody, their internet offering is to, let's just cancel that fibre rollout and just give everyone wireless. Yeah, Wi-Fi. How fast? 25 megabit maximum. What? Some people already have 40, by the way. And they think that that's awesome. I don't know when they were living in the 80s. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense that they're telling us that this is the right wing, are telling us that market forces will automatically increase internet speeds as time goes on. Well, I mean, they've had 10 years to get up to date, and they're still behind. So when is that going to work? And the government's biggest plan... Oh, hijacker. Just, you can look me up. It's just David Dunger, hijacker. And you can talk to me. I think you're already a friend of mine, so you should have no dramas whatsoever. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Why? They obviously had some kind of dispute with the current government, and there shouldn't be any support for any particular party in any particular paper or any particular TV show or anything like that. It should be unbiased reporting of the news. Is that true?
You'd think so, but not true.
Yeah, no, clearly not true. Honestly, I just don't see it. I don't see why we don't revolt against this stuff. Honest.
Yeah, they're brainwashed.
Even in Australia.
Well, I believe that too, but they're so weak. I mean, the mainstream collective is very weak-minded. And they're very controlled and manipulated, and it's all about deception. They've been lied to, and television is notorious for lying and censoring data. Nothing truth-based comes out of it. So, that's the majority of people, and that's one of the reasons I think it's like the weakest link. My goodness, the mass collective is the weakest link too. And then we have the madmen and the illusion of power. So it's a real bad combination. You ask me.
Oh, yeah, no, completely. I'm with you on that one.
You see, part of our fear is, and there's a partial truth to it. It's still one of the things that we have to kind of overcome in our psyche. And then once we overcome it, we also have to fight the institution, because there's also an institution there. It's not purely, we're mind controlled to vote for one of the two parties presented, and that's it. There's also like the board of electors, I think is what it's called, is basically the group that is in charge of national elections, and the head and the two heads of the board of electors are a Democrat and a Republican, and they only allow Democrats and Republicans of those parties' approval to have the full exposure granted to them that anybody else would have. I became aware of this after watching, of all documentaries, the Ralph Nader documentary called An Unreasonable Man. And, I'm not the biggest Ralph Nader fan out there. I like a few of his ideas. He seems like a decent enough guy. But the important thing was, as they were showing you principally the 2000 election, it was they showed you how the elections are rigged. They did an excellent job portraying.
Hello?
Hijacker?
No, he's not here.
Oh, sorry. Bugger. I tried the only known number I had for him, and it wasn't him.
What time was that?
I don't care.
Oh my goodness.
2 a.m.
Yeah, they love you. No, it's kidding.
But what I've just done is he was obviously one of the, what's it called? Super Soldier. I've just activated him. There he is. He's off doing something now. Awesome.
You might have. You never know.
I was going to say Rosebud and just hang up. Have you ever done that?
Oh God.
Do you remember that film, guys?
Yeah, with Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Citizen Kane. That was Orson Welles' critique of William Randolph Hearst. That film.
Oh, very nice.
It was meant to be kind of a sort of a mockery of his legacy.
Okay, so now I can do this. I can add him. Looks like we're going to get him on. Okay, in 5, 4. He's known now in my group. There he is. Excellent. Goodness me. Let's try that, huh? So, sorry everyone out there. We've got 30 minutes left on the show. And I think we've covered a lot of stuff. We're still... Oh, call failed. Goodness me. So, hijacker, sit tight. I'm calling you. Don't you worry about it. There he is. We've got the one and only, the hijacker, on the line. Don't we, hijacker?
Yeah, there we go.
That's it. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's a great show. Where's Meki?
Meki's in India at the moment.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You said something last week about that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I told him just to take one deep breath in and get back on the plane.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to jump in.
The floor's yours, mate. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm wondering why. Maybe it's my fault. I'm getting feedback. I'll jump back in just a second. Hang on.
Oh, I'll drop you and pull you back, okay? You know, the modern marvel of technology. It gets us every time. I love the double mute problem that you have, where you mute it on the screen, and maybe you've got a headphone with a mute button as well. That's always exciting. I think I did about 3 minutes of a show once with a double mute on. There we go, hijacker. How's that now for you? It's not Major Tom. This is ground control to hijacker. Anyone? Bueller?
You almost had an American accent there.
Well, I sort of can, but it doesn't last.
Right.
Not real long, anyway. There's too many sounds, bad sounds, and I have to talk in the wrong part of my mouth.
I can do all right with an Australian accent.
It's
I can get... I can get most of the words. I'm already losing it. Oh, well.
Yeah, I can.
A long time ago, I was better at it.
It's very funny because it's almost every single sound is wrong, and it's like being a duck in a hawk's outfit. You know what I mean? It's just so hard.
The problem is that 99% of us Americans, we've gotten our Australian accents from principally two individuals.
Who are they?
Dundee, a.k.a. Paul Hogan, and Steve Irwin. That's about it.
Yeah, g'day. Yeah, it's terrible. That's not a knife. This is a knife. It's very funny. Hijacker, are you with us now, buddy?
Yeah, I am now. I got my technical issues straightened out.
Awesome, man. So go ahead, man. The floor's yours.
Yeah, well, we just had something really, really big that's happened. It's one of these things that most people they don't know how big it is if they don't know politics. But with Obama, first off, they made up this whole chemical. 1,426 people got killed, including hundreds of women and children. We didn't see any funerals, nobody carrying nobody down the street, no burials, no 500,000 Syrians out there screaming at the top of their lungs, and the Arab street all over the place going crazy at the chemical attack. Now the rebels admit they did it, and it was an accident. They didn't know how to handle the stuff, and so it was only about 12 people that got killed. Finding out footage on those children might have come from Saddam Hussein, Iraq. So anyways, Obama's about to hit him. He's got the ships there. He's about to do the bombing. His little coalition breaks apart. First, the UN, the Russians, the Chinese walk out. Then he tries to do it through NATO. NATO says, no, we're not doing this. And finally, Britain kicks out. So he's going to go it alone. And so now he says that he's going to get Congress, he's going to give the issue to Congress to take a vote, but that he's planning on doing it anyways. Congress doesn't come back until I think it's the 9th, September the 9th or 10th, when they get back in. So there's going to be absolutely no bombing before that. Now, if he calls Congress back...
for an emergency session.
Right. They can vote it on early. But everybody says there's no way that Congress is going to sign off on this. So here you go. Look at the mistake that he's made. He's going to use the military to do this strike, irregardless of what Congress decides. He gives it back to Congress. Congress is going to say no. And then Obama, even if he doesn't go a strike, we could wake up one day and the military could pull off a coup of the White House, and they can say, Obama told us to do a massive bombing of Syria. Congress said no. He gave us the order to do it. They could just make it up. He gave us the order to do it, and therefore we have removed him from office. And there you got a coup de grace. Coup d'etat.
Coup d'etat. Yep.
Yeah. Coup d'etat is a bloody coup.
You wouldn't even have to do much. You wouldn't have to do much. I think it was Secretary Hagel on his first day in office made a very, very auspicious statement. He said something, I'm paraphrasing, along the lines of, you know who scares me? He said, like, I forget the rank, but it was like Surgeon General of the Army or something like that. It was some guy medically involved with the military, and when we looked up what this guy's authority power was, is that one of the things he can do is that he can declare the President of the United States incompetent and have that as valid grounds to force his resignation or to kick him out of office in some way, shape, or form.
25th Amendment. Yeah, exactly. 25th Amendment.
Yeah, exactly. He has the ability. He has the medical credentials and the authority to order the prognosis, if you will. And he could sit there and assess. He can make up a bunch of psycho mumbo jumbo and say the president's incompetent.
Yeah, but he does need cabinet. There's I think 3 or 4 cabinet people got to sign off on it as well. But that's unlikely. I mean, what Obama's got himself, how he's maneuvered himself in this position, or maybe this was planned because maybe they got to go to martial law anyways because they know something's getting ready to happen on a planetary change. But I cannot believe just the mistakes on the 4th dimensional chessboard. Just unbelievable things that are happening. So I just had to call in and just let you know, no bombings, at least not till September 9th. And he says he's going to do it anyway. So now he's got to back down. I mean, this is bad. This is the beginning of his end for this presidency, I think. Go ahead.
Did you hear what I was saying about that false flag thing back in January?
Yeah, actually, David, I catch most of your shows. You put a lot into them. They really are quality national stuff, that's for sure. Or I guess international. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. That there was an email between the defense contractor Britam, between the director and the founder, saying basically, and I've posted into this conversation, but it basically said that we've been asked to create a chemical weapon attack to make it look like it's an inside job inside Syria, and there's a lot of money riding on getting this right. And that was back in January of this year. And everyone just laughed at it. Everyone in the conspiracy field, conspiracy field being investigators of information, true investigators, not journalists reading off the Reuters feed. These people, everyone that I've known, looked at that and went, "This is going to mean something sometime." Yeah, it's going to mean something when the event happens. So keep it.
Yeah, I think the Daily Mail actually did an article, and it was only up for about an hour. Mm-hmm. And then it got yanked, but enough people screenshot, then enough people captured it where they pull it back up. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. Hijack, did you get to listen to the Stan Deo interview that we did?
I did. I actually caught that. That was pretty good too. Yeah.
I really wanted, out of all the people that I've known, I really wanted you to be able to hear it, and I was hoping that you'd caught that. Because he mentioned the same kind of thing. He said, yes, there's going to be a war. There's going to be a conflict that starts between 4 to 6 weeks away from that interview, and he's going to be bang on the money. He said it'll also last, whatever that conflict is, it will last for 7 months. Then a decision would have to be made.
Right, yeah, he was dovetailing along with the Book of Revelation, the prophecies there.
Exactly.
The 7 months that they would be digging up weapons and using them to heat their homes or feed themselves or something like that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I thought that was an extraordinary thing. And we've never had anyone like Stan on the show before. And to have that interview with him, I thought was an amazing thing. But to hear it from another angle, once again, another angle which is not within my silo, right? And I thought that it's got to lend credence. If we've got 4 quadrants all pointing at the same thing, that's got to give credence to it. It's got to give some kind of ammunition.
Yeah, and also Gordon Duff for Veterans Today, he says that the way the military is set up, and I didn't know this, there are 300 plus, I forgot the exact number, it's right around there, lettered officers. And somehow they make up the brain of the military. Basically, these 300 decide, as a military is like a different type of organization or world. And in these 300 lettered people, they pretty much run the military. I guess they run little armies, and the general of this and lieutenant general of that or whatever. But even if they're a general, unless they're lettered in this other particular category, they're not part of the ruling cabal of the military. But what he says, when Bush knocked those buildings down, 9/11.
Forwarded to an automatic voice message.
Sorry, guys. Yep.
Oh, that's okay. He says that it is anywhere from 10 to 15% of the military, the lettered people who decide what the military is going to do, they were upset at Bush. They knew he did it. But there wasn't that many of the 300. Since then, they say since everything is unfolded, and by his count.
Hello, area code 808. I know that you called in, and sorry that it bounced straight off you, but I thought that I'd give you an opportunity just to listen in, and while Hijack is talking, and then when he's finished, I'll give you the opportunity to ask your question.
Excellent.
Yeah, I just jumped in here to basically say that this is important. This is a sea change. But so Gordon Duff says now at the last count, and you can't really come out and ask these officers, would you be willing to get rid of Obama? You can't really do things openly like that, but just based on friends that know friends that are connected to these lettered people. He says the numbers now of these lettered officers is over 50%, between 50-something and 60%. And that's one of the reasons that Obama's been trying to remove, I think, something like 285 of these key people in command to swear allegiance to him. In other words, the purging. So, but he says it doesn't even matter, even if they swear allegiance. Gordon Duff thinks they got the numbers. So the recipe's there for some type of, coup de grace, an overthrow. But anyways, I just wanted to jump in and let you know that it's pretty big. Go ahead.
Just remember, just before I get to 808, it's very important. If you're in the party that's about to take something over, and you happen to be in the lead force for that, look at yourself as being a target once they're in. That's a very important view to take. So if you're in the lead party and you've been on the other side, then you become a threat to the person who's in, the person who takes over because of your assistance. 808, area code 808. How do you do? Welcome on the show.
Oh, hi. Thanks, yeah. Hello to everybody. All my favorites are on. Solaris, Steve, Travis D, and good old Hijacker. And anyway, I just wanted to chime in and say that Syria will not be an easy victory for Obama. Russia and Syria have a world-class air defense system, so it won't be like a walk in the park like it was for Libya or some other country. So that's going to pose a problem. It's not going to be an easy victory if he does decide to go that route.
You know, that is interesting. I believe, just like Iraq and Afghanistan, those weren't easy victories, and I'm with you on this. Syria is actually, if you haven't seen the movie Syriana with George Clooney, yeah, I think I think it's a melting pot of everything. It's one of those places in the Middle East where everything's accepted and everything's.
Well, the Paris.
It's like a pirate town.
I'm sorry, what?
It's more like a pirate town.
You mean like a what'd you call it? Like a place where pirates would hang out, so to speak?
Yeah, it's like Mos Eisley. Mos Eisley from Star Wars.
I don't know if that's a good description of Syria. I think Syria is very cultured. It's one of the oldest civilizations, as I get has pointed out. So it's been around for a long time. But I think Obama is making a military or strategic miscalculation. If he thinks he can just go in there and just walk all over Syria, it's just not going to happen that easily. And the key to that is they have adequate air defenses, and other countries didn't have that. There's the S-300 and the S-400. There's the Mach 7 missiles, and I don't think we got anything that can, it's going to be tragic. You got a Mach 2 fighter against a Mach 7 missile, and you can do the math.
Yeah, that's that sleek Chinese weapon, isn't it?
No, it's Russian. The Russian.
Oh, the Russian one. Okay.
That's the new one. Yeah, the S-400 and the S-300 are the principal air defense systems, are the newest ones. And that's what Israel was trying so hard to prevent Syria receiving those, the latest versions or whatever. They had them in place anyway, the S-300. So it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be what America's accustomed to. Going in there, bombing them, and using the air campaign, and then mopping up with ground forces or naval Tomahawk missiles. Those can be shot down too. I'm sorry?
Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you. If I may, because the caller's right. It's definitely not going to be easy. The big difference between Libya and Syria is that Libya was not so much a strategic target as it had other assets, such as oil and gold and all that stuff, and plus our history with Libya gave people a different kind of psychological reaction, et cetera, et cetera. With Syria, there's major strategic stuff going on. It's part of that whole issue between America and Russian and Chinese interests, so on and so forth. For this, there's one aspect of it is the pipeline situation, but then the other aspect of it is just its location is going to trigger, because it's a trade route, is going to trigger a larger conflict. It's more about triggering a larger conflict. But the way I see it, based on how everybody is looking at the situation, plus the actual details of the situation, I think that if the White House is stupid enough to give the order and make the strike happen, it's going to backfire. I also, yes, because if a strike happens, it increases the odds of World War III, but something tells me it won't happen. Something tells me that people are looking at it in the sense of something don't smell right, and I think that people in the higher ups of other governments, like Russia, are not actually interested in turning it into World War III, although they will have to react. But one way or the other, I believe that this will backfire politically for America, for sure, and this could destroy. This could destroy things in a big way and become a harsh reality for America, at least on the international stage, and then eventually that's going to hit the local level when things like the economy starts crumbling because of our trade agreements are going south.
Hi, Stephen.
Well, the other thing you got to think about. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Hijacker. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, one of the real things is it was on the Mediterranean. 95% of their country and their cities were right along the coastline. You had battleships, aircraft carriers. You could fly stuff from Europe. Whereas you take a look at Syria, that's a big country. Gaddafi didn't have any tanks. Syria.
He did. He had, but not. He had tanks,
right.
Hijacker, but not enough.
Well, yeah, he wasn't big in the tanks. His dad.
He had tanks, but no air power. So I mean, they would just blow the tanks up from the air. So what he got? Nothing. Right.
And then the other point is that I can almost see it because I know where Putin's, he's got political power, and our military, they got to concentrate on this guy, so they know all about him. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's not kind of popular among the military high command because they know full well that it was him and the Chinese president Hu Jintao, but particularly Putin, that kept George Bush in check, getting their military completely involved in World War III. And I can see if something's going to happen that Putin could actually go to the U.S. military and says, look, you freaking get rid of that guy. You get rid of that guy or we're going to start slugging it out among ourselves. And I think the military is going to say, you know what? Putin's the only one that's been keeping us out of World War III for the last 10 years. Maybe that's what we ought to do. Maybe instead of slugging it out with the Russians, maybe we ought to get rid of this guy. Maybe Putin's right. So, I mean, you got a lot of working parts here. Go ahead.
Putin's doing the dirty work for the U.S. military. Like if they're not too keen on Obama, so so they're really applauding this guy secretly, Putin. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah. What I'm saying is that he's gotten, the U.S. military knows he's been the most level-headed guy out of our government for like the last 10 years. So, yeah.
True leader. He's displaying true leadership and poise and confidence. I wish he was our president instead of Obama. I mean, he's more, of the image of an American president than Obama could ever be.
Oh yeah, I mean, like he's riding Siberia barebacked or fishing. Mighty man, he captures polar bears with with his bare hands, and then just tags them and lets them go. He catches the biggest fish in the world.
He's also a kung fu expert.
What's that?
He's also a martial arts.
Martial arts, yeah. He trained with Choi Dan Kaku.
That's definitely what we're lacking is true leadership in this country, and I don't know, maybe we should just become a part of Russia. I think we'd be better off the way this country's heading. you know.
Yeah, and then you juxtapose our president, and he's on a funny gayish type bicycle with a funny hat on, or he's, skinny leg guy on a golf course, or, he's not even that good of a basketball player, and the difference between the two is something else.
And he's on the
Yeah,
lowdown.
Profound in the contract. And Heidegger and everyone, it's funny that the people that have never been to war, never done any military service, are the ones that are so eager to go and to push this war effort. I mean, what are his qualifications? How can he justify going to war with Syria?
Yeah, there's a word for that.
Why would he ask us to do what he won't do?
Michael, what's the word for people want to go to war but never fought in one? I can't.
Wannabe?
Wannabe backyard mercenaries, or
No, it's some kind of bird. It's a bird.
Chicken hawk.
Chicken hawk. Yeah.
It's two birds. Yeah, chicken hawks. That's it. Chicken hawk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, we got to remember that there's people pulling Obama's strings. He's just a puppet.
But wait, yeah, I thought that too, but wait a minute. He has an excuse to back out, right? If he has no support, why is he still pushing it if he's just merely a puppet? So he's the puppet and he's sometimes the puppeteer. I don't get that.
No, the puppets are the bankers and the basically.
Right, but he can just beg off. I tried, guys, but nobody's backing me up. We got to try something else. But he's pushing it. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's not like he's a willing puppet, is what I'm trying to say.
What I believe will happen, should Congress say no, they'll have another event, another stage false flag, killing this time 10,000 people. And Obama will say, well, we've got to do it. I've got to give the order because they'll kill 1 million people if we don't do it now. They've got Plan B, Plan C, and Plan D all ready to go.
But in the absence of proof, how far can that go? I mean, the people are more sophisticated now because of the internet.
I got two important factors for you to consider. Factor one is that you have to understand that military recruitment right now in the United States is at an all-time low. It's bad. People are not signing up. They know what it's like. They know how people are treated. They know, it's a lost cause all around. It's just it's no good. I saw a commercial for Marine officers. This is not the first time I've seen officers having TV commercials for recruitment for officers. They've never had trouble ever in the military recruiting officers. And officers are where you get all of your guys that will eventually go up and maybe become generals in in 50 years or whatever, long-term career military men. So they've never had to advertise for that before. Now I've been seeing Navy officer advertisements, Marine Corps officer advertisements. They're not able to fulfill the numbers they need. Second thing is, hey, guess what? It's September 1st. We've passed various deadlines. We are now at the point where this potentially actually world changing papal bull thing goes into effect. So we might start seeing things, if it's as deep as many of us in the conspiracy theory world think it is, that we're going to see prosecution of corrupt people that were originally immune from prosecution.
There we go. That's the end of the show. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Area Code 808, Hijacker, Steve Chavez, Michael Hemmingson, Solaris. Thank you, everyone that listens to this show. And if you listen to this for the first time on YouTube, come to freedomslips.com, go to shinysideout.net, and get yourself informed. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thanks, David. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, thanks so much, David.